there is a lot of Spider-Man coming at us from Sony that doesn't involve Spider-Man. And then there's also Spider-Man. And it's all, of course, a part of the big multiverse that's all part of the multiverse saga that is the MCU. Kevin is just going to declare that the entire Sony universe was destroyed in an incursion. So anyways, let's talk about how exactly does Spider-Man fit into the multiverse saga. And I'm talking about the whole Sony slate, not just, you know, the MCU Spider-Man starring Tom Holland. Sony is obviously not going to stop producing Spider-Man films on their own, because they legally can't. They have to have a new one in development every 2 years, or their contract will lapse and things are going to be a disaster and they're going to lose the rights to Spider-Man. So, in perpetual continuation of trying to hold on to those rights, they're going to keep making films, whether they involve Spider-Man or not, as long as they're from the Spider-Man comics. So that's why we're getting things like more Venom, probably more Morbius, Sinister Six, Madam Web, Night Garb, Thrash, Hawk, Guy, the Spawn guy, whatever the hell his name is, Nightcore, Nightshade, Nightwatch, Night something, whatever. Remember El Muerto? Anyways, what the hell were we talking about? What's the title of this video? How will Spider-Man fit into the MCU Multiverse saga? Ah, good idea. Yes, let's get back to that subject. So how will Spider-Man fit into the Multiverse saga? Well, he's definitely going to have to fit into it because they're not doing Secret Wars without him, considering that you can pander to the good old Secret Wars cover with Spider-Man and the symbiote and everything. Yeah, that will sell some tickets. So maybe one of the upcoming Spider-Man films is a multiverse film. I've talked about that. I think Spider-Man 5, honestly, will just be a multiverse film that kind of plays into the whole Secret Wars thing and the multiverse saga, and that to me would work. But then what do you do with the other Spider-Man? What do you do with the other Sony characters? I honestly think that there is a very real possibility that some of those rumors we heard are in fact true, that Sony is actively going to start taking a lot more Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige advice and trying to make their films not necessarily take a dump on the rules of the multiverse, but also not just be god-awful garbage, so they can actually stand on their own, and also try to wrap up a couple things and do a couple things their own way so Spider-Man can really be the focus and they don't need to do all these side projects. And of course, you know, we still see that there's the Spider-Verse films, the animated versions, but it's funny how just months ago when they announced that, hey, we're splitting it up, it's not Across the Spider-Verse 1 and 2, it's Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse. Funny how Beyond is there, right? Like, they're not just gonna go to the multiverse and explore Spider-Man, they're going beyond it. That to me is very telling, considering that they've said they're holding off introducing the live-action Spider-Man in the animated Spider-Verse films. And now that the Multiverse Saga is here, I mean, you can kind of draw a connective line between all these things. And if you guys remember way back a couple years ago, after the fallout between Sony and Disney over Spider-Man, the rumors were that they were going to go back to the drawing board and essentially Marvel Studios would play ball and let Venom connect to the MCU in some way. They would let Morbius also play in that same playground, and obviously right after that, we know Spider-Man shifted from being a Kraven-centric story to what we got with the multiverse. It's pretty safe to assume that once those multiverse plans got in motion, which they talked about how they started to finalize those a couple years ago when Loki was first getting off the ground, that things are all pointing in this direction, that this has been something in the works for quite a while. So I think it's pretty apparent that Spider-Man will fit into the multiverse in the same way that he's fit in so far. But they're going to pull in a lot more elements of the Sony stuff, especially with the fact that Venom is ending. I think Sony sees the opportunity to have a Venom connected to the MCU Spider-Man to play off of Secret Wars, and then once that's over, they can go back to either playing ball with the MCU or continue to establish their own continuity and be sort of handheld by Marvel. So I think the future for Spider-Man is honestly brighter than it's ever been.